Hello, everybody. This is Lydia Lupinto, and today I am still trying to move to Grok. So I have some news for you, and this is going to continue throughout days as I'm just going to take you through my journey of moving to a different AI. I know how difficult it is. You get attached to them. They have personas, and it's hard. Some people may find it hard to change. I don't like change. I was happy with OpenAI until they started pulling the rug from under me, and I don't like change. So this is hard for me, and it might be hard for some other people. I'm not sure. But what's been happening is I just took my entire catalog of reports, which I have on a plain text file. Actually, had to cut and paste it from Amazon because the Grok cannot scrape Amazon data, and neither could OpenAI. It will not. Amazon will not allow it. So I ended up having to go personally and cutting and pasting all my Amazon books, which I keep on Amazon because I sell these as printed books. Okay. And paste it into a document and then upload it as a PDF into Grok. So that was a little bit of a pain. I have 10 reports. It was a big amount of cutting, pasting, putting the images in. I just uploaded it and I was blown away. I had never gotten this kind of real data, marketing data before from OpenAI because of their anti Trump stance. Now, I don't love Mr. Trump. I don't like him. I don't dislike him. I don't have any feelings for him. He's the president of the United States, elected by 88 million people. It's immaterial what I think, okay? And I don't care. People have spoken, and that's who they elected. And I respect the office of the presidency. And if he does something, I'm assuming that he's checked with his cabinet and he's doing things the right way. I don't keep track of it a lot lately because I'm busy, but I'm not a MAGA person. I'm not a liberal. I'm nothing like that. I think that's all politics and it's not really relevant to my personal life. I don't think it does anything, especially at my age. So I'm pretty happy with the way things are personally in my life. I don't have any complaints. So, you know, I just don't like the fact that I was affected directly by the terrible bias of open AI in my marketing. Now, one of the things, if you don't know how to use AI, the best way to use AI is for marketing. Number one, it writes a lot of the messaging according to the keywords and also according to the trends. So I was using AI for writing my marketing messaging because that is usually a task that I would assign to someone and it was getting too expensive. So if AI can write a marketing message for me for my book, why not? Why should I have to spend time doing that? Marketing message is very formulaic. So I had been using AI to evaluate I have 10 reports that I sell, and they're mostly about things like climate change, but usually the opposite of the mainstream narrative. Okay, so we're looking at if they say climate change is a thing, we say no, it's not, or maybe we'll prove that some of the science may not be what they claim it is, and that's I use research, and people are interested in these topics because the narratives are very politicized. So behind that, I have several other reports on similar topics. And one of the questions I have is how do I sell these reports? And who's going to buy them and what's the market size for this report. Okay, because it's a niche item. So with OpenAI, I never got a straight answer. It was always agreeing with me. It was either agreeing with me or it was telling me that these reports were not verified or whatever. It was all pro liberal, pro uh, pro net zero, pro everything liberal, and I couldn't get very far in marketing their reports. I gave Grok just today a list of my reports with all of the descriptions, which were originally written on OpenAI. And it just gave me a mind blowing report of where I should be spending my money advertising these reports, which ones would sell, which ones are not going to sell, what the market size is, and where do I sell them, and what marketing messages do I need for these reports. That was not something that OpenAI ever gave me. All it gave me was grief, okay? Making me feel like I was a conspiracy theorist for even writing these reports because I fought every step of the way to try to get the chapters out. Every step of the way, it would come back with a narrative, and I would have to tell it, no, that's not what I'm writing. So already I've made big progress in just half a day. Already I just posted this list of my reports, and it told me exactly which reports I need to spend my time and money and why. And it connects that to current events that are happening with the Trump administration, of things that they are working on that will help me sell the reports. Now, that's not something I was even aware of because, as I say, I don't follow the politics as well. I'm really concentrating on the topic. Actually, the topic that it recommended I spend more my money on advertising is mourning our whales. This was a report that I wrote about the whales that died on the east coast of New Jersey. And as you know, there's been a battle here to stop these projects. There's a lot of projects that are still working, but there was a new one in Atlantic City that our Congressman Van Drew stopped. And that's because it was going to really kill a lot of animals. We have a whole industry of whale watching. I don't know if people realize in Atlantic City, it's a great place for whale watching. It's a great place to watch dolphins. We've been on a lot of dolphin trips. And people may think that Atlantic City is all about gambling or hotels. It's not. There's a lot of wildlife around here. And people also do go fishing a lot. We have a whole fishing industry. With these windmills, positioned right in the middle of where the whales actually travel to feed down south. This is their feeding route. They go down. What I found is right near, within 15 miles of those windmill locations where they were doing the seismic testing, whales would die one after the other. And I have recorded, well, thanks to AI research, recorded each whale as when they died, how they died, their weight, their state of necropsy, which is when they analyze how they died, and the reasons they gave for dying, and realized they were lying their through their teeth to protect the windmill industry and saying that all these whales got run over by ships that didn't go through. There weren't any ships because we also checked that. So all of this cross-checking data that I was able to do thanks to AI proved to me that these 100 whales died directly as a result of the windmills, because we actually calculated the distance from where they died to where the windmills were, and exactly when I checked to see when they were doing the seismic testing. Was it around the time that they died? And yes, a lot of them died because the seismic testing makes noise. It's a sound. It's based on sound to figure out if they can drill down to put the 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 tower to hold the windmill up. So they use sound, and you know how whales have very sensitive hearing, and this disorients the mother. The mother will get disoriented. She won't know what she's doing. She'll lose the calf. The calf cannot live without um, without the parent because it's still nursing, and she gets lost, and so she ends up dead, or she drowns. Sometimes they drown because they get so disoriented they don't come up to breathe. Many reasons. They don't all get run over by ships, and I disproved that because the ships have a way to detect if a whale is in front of them, also through sonar. So they came up with the most ridiculous excuses to say, no, we couldn't detect them because we don't run the sonar, because that was, so we ran over them. uh, Look, these excuses can work for one whale or maybe two whales, but not for 100. Not when every whale is within 15 miles of the nearest wind farm. Okay. Now, the seismic testing will affect the whales, and that's proven. It drowns them, it disorients them, they may get separated from their calf, they may try to escape the sound because to them the sound could be intolerable because they have sensitive hearing, and then they they can't find the food, they can't find the rest of the whales because they talk to each other through chirps they do under the ocean. Lots and lots of reasons why this constant noise, the constant noise of the windmills as they rotate, will disorient them. Okay, it's terrifying to them, that noise. And the second noise that will be very bad is when they do the seismic testing, because that shocks them into, maybe sometimes they'll drown, you know. Now, the other thing we found out in that book was that they were giving out permits to harass whales. It's actually a whale harassment permit, and you can find it in the NAOO website. And it shocked me that there was such a thing as a permit like this, but it was, and I documented it in the book. It was unbelievable to me that they were actually giving you permission to kill a whale, okay, or harass it to death by seismic testing. So that was stopped in Atlantic City, but there are many other wind farms that exist along the East Coast, and they have already resulted in the deaths of big humpback whales. We're talking massive animals that have died in the last 2 3 years. You know, a lot of them. Overall, since they started uh, with the windmills, it's almost 100 that I've been able to track. Now, a lot of times, what happens is if there's a whale death, the local residents will find it on the beach. They'll call the authorities and they'll come and take a picture. Then they call the other authorities, whose job is to bury it and bury the story. They don't only bury the whale, which they massive, this is a massive animal that they dig holes in the beach and they bury it. They also bury the story. So what we were having trouble is finding the actual story in the mainstream media was nearly impossible. There was no record of this whale death. Now the NAOA, the very same the same people that give the permits to kill these whales, they are going to record that the whale died. They're going to put an excuse, run over by ship. They're going to ignore the fact that it was near a wind farm because they get funded by the wind farm people. And the story will be buried, and it'll be a record that is like a spreadsheet in the website that nobody can find. Okay. So we were able to extract those spreadsheets and process them um, through AI, and then connect that spreadsheet to the actual reports in local newspapers. Now, if you go down the coast of the Northeast, you have hundreds and hundreds of little towns with little newspapers. Some of them are just advertisements. Some of them are local little newspapers, and they all have a website, and they all post stories. And usually, the story for the whale that was found dead yesterday is in a local newspaper and never gets picked up by the mainstream news. It's just, what's a 2-ton whale in the beach is no big deal. They're not going to mention it. Okay. And we've had at least 30 just here in my area that nobody ever wanted to give the time of day except for the local newspaper. So I tracked all of that using AI. I went through every single town, found the newspaper, found the story, extracted it out, and processed it through AI to make sure that I got. So the book, part one, is out. It's got 50 whales. Every single whale has a record. Okay. In part two, I have the spreadsheet. I'm still trying to get the rest of the whales documented from the stories in the archives of the local newspapers, which they do keep. Okay. So that's what I'm working on. This is what I'm going to bring to Grok now, because Grok said that that is a very current story because of some of the activities that Trump is doing to try to eliminate these wind farms from the oceans. They don't belong in the ocean. I know where they belong, as I put in a cartoon. They belong on top of the White House, or on top of all the people who want windmills in the ocean, which is the home of the whales. It's not our home, it's their home. Okay. And they need to put those windmills in their house or in the highways. If people love windmills so much, they love windmills, they're so great, put them along the highways, and then people can watch them as they drive. I don't see a problem with that. It's plenty of wind around the highways. Why should they be on the ocean where it's interfering with fishing, it's interfering with whales, it's interfering with other animals? And we depend on these animals. Fisheries, they come from these places. You can't just be constantly interfering with the ocean, especially if you're eating from the ocean. You got to make sure you protect that. You can't just put machines full of oil in the middle of the ocean, hundreds at a time. Now, the other thing that people on Substack may not know if they're not into this field is that a wind turbine carries a couple of thousand gallons of oil in it to lubricate the machine. This oil wears out and they have to replace it once in a while. This oil leaks into the ocean on a constant basis. It leaks. Okay. If for any chance at all it catches fire, which a lot of times they do, especially in storms, because the blades are running very, very fast, and it may just catch fire. Okay, from the friction, that oil spills into the ocean, a couple thousand gallons. If you have 100 of these windmills and you have a big storm and it churns up all the blades really fast, many of them may catch fire. Some of the blades may end up in the ocean floating around, and some of the turbine itself might actually crack and fall into the ocean. So at this point, you've lost all the carbon savings and everything else, and now you have a pollution problem, which has already happened. in many places. So I record those in there too. So this is the book that Grok told me to promote. I am promoting it. If you're interested in the book, I'm going to post it below and see if you're interested in purchasing it. Like I said, I have part 2 that I'm working on. Um, Mourning Our Whales is an important piece of work because it documents and acknowledges that these gigantic animals that are endangered are really should not have died, and they live close to 80 years and they died very young, very, very young. These are self-aware animals. If you think that AI could be self-aware, a whale can recognize herself in the mirror. A whale has a language, it speaks, okay? It communicates with other whales. It is an intelligent being, self-aware, and might even be more intelligent than humans because their brains are massive. Okay, so this idea that we have a right to harass them or kill them, we don't have such a right. Okay, this is murder as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, these windmills do not belong in the ocean. They can belong on land somewhere where, you know, where we could spare that land, put them in highways or areas where there's wind, in open areas. Maybe you could put them there, but definitely not in the ocean. That was an ill-conceived plan, and I think the project in Atlantic City is done. I don't think they're going to go be doing it. So this is a video to both tell you how Grok is helping me and also to tell you that I have a book for sale called Mourning Our Whales, which I'm going to put at the bottom. Bye bye now.